In this sequence of movies, we will be making assignment 8 and assignment 9, where the focus is on using dynamic collections, list, set, and map, and on ordering your elements. So the base class we will have to create in this example is the contacts class. So you should think about a contact like what you have in your Android or iPhone application. So a contact is a person with a name, a telephone number, and maybe multiple addresses. So that's something we have to create. So a person should be able to be constructed by its name and its telephone number. And then it should be possible to store all addresses based on this given label. The home address is fake street, the work address is the not so real street, and maybe you could update the home address to fake street and use a different house number. The second thing that you need, or the third thing that you need to keep track of for a person, it's not only its name, telephone number, and all the addresses, it's also the tags. So it's possible to tag one of your contacts with a self-invented tag, so it can be a string, for instance, family member, or friend, or colleague. And then a final thing that we should do is add chat messages to our contacts. We will not be implementing the actual sending, we will just implement managing and keeping track of these messages. So I'm going to my IntelliJ window and I already created a new package. So the class I need to create is the contact class. You could pick person as well. And we know at least two fields. Fields are always private, so string name and string phone. You could go for phone number as well. That's not valid English. Typo rename to like this. Okay. And these two fields should also be filled in by means of a constructor. So let's generate a constructor and use these two there. Most likely you will want to select these fields as well. So let's create getters. Depending on whether you want to update name and or phone number, you can or should create setters as well. But this is not the only thing that we need to keep track of for contacts. We also need to keep track of addresses. We need to keep track of tags, and we need to keep track of chat messages. And what's important to see is that these three fields or these three items, they are plural. It's not one address, it's multiple addresses. It's not one tag, it can be multiple tags. It's not one chat message, it can be multiple chat messages. So that's the difference between name and phone number. There is only one name and there is only one phone number. So what we have to do now is we have to try and figure out which dynamic collection is best suited for these situations. For the addresses, I think there is only one choice, and we should go for map, a map from string to string. Why? And I'll go back to the assignment. We want to not only keep track of multiple addresses, but each address has its own label. This is the home address, this is the work address. So for that I'll be using a map from string to string, or if you like, a map from string to address. Of course the class address doesn't exist. Let's create it. And an address could be something that consists of street and a city. So you can make this as complex as you want. Let's put it into a constructor. And let's create getters. Okay. So why do we need a map? Because we're not only storing the addresses, we also want to know which address. The key is a tag, The actual value is the actual address. Okay. The second thing that we need to keep track of is the tags of a certain contact itself. So is this contact a family member? Is this contact a friend? What's important? You can be both a friend and a family member, but you cannot be 2 times a family member. So I think the perfect choice here would be set, private, set. And string is more than sufficient here. Nice thing in naming convention would be if you keep a collection, use a plural word. So we only store one name, call your field name. We store multiple addresses, call your field addresses. And then the final one is chat messages. So you can have multiple chat messages, and it's perfectly fine to send the same message more than once, maybe because it's very important. So this means set is not a good choice. The only choice we have left is list, and there is actually a more important reason why you should go for list, and because list keeps track of order messages. Okay. So now we made for the 3 extra fields the choice, and we explained the reason for these choices. So we picked list, set, and map. The only thing we still need to do is the following: addresses equals new hash map. So you decide on the implementation on the left side. On the right side, you do have to pick an actual implementation. Tags equals new hash set. So it's very important to do this. Why? Otherwise there is no map, there is no set, and there is no list. You actually have to create a new one. So here you can decide whether you use array list or linked list. That doesn't matter. So that's the basis of our contact class. Main ID, we have these 3 fields all containing a dynamic collection. It's very important to pick the right collection for the right purpose.